Our nation was engulfed in a cataclysmic civil war, and we're just barely a month and a half away back over the anniversary, 150th anniversary of the Great Battle at Gettysburg, which took place on July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. The carnage was over at the end of the 3rd with Pickett's charge. They took the 4th of July off to collect their wounded and dead and set about burying them. At the end of that 3-day nightmare, over 50,000 dead lay on that field in Gettysburg. Almost as many dead as we suffered in the entire Vietnam conflict. 3 days in a field in Pennsylvania, and all of them were Americans. It was a terrible, terrible time in our history, brought about by perhaps our founding fathers not putting the final closing words in certain parts of our Constitution and our Declaration of Independence that brought about this eventuality of a civil war, of brothers fighting each other, cousins fighting each other, that everyone involved were Americans. If you've seen the great Ken Burns Civil War documentary, you'll recognize this next selection. We're going to recreate the narration of a letter from a soldier days before he was about to move out with his unit in the Union Army. Sullivan, Ballou, a soldier, an officer from Rhode Island. And he wrote to his wife, and underscoring that was the music called now Akoshan Farewell. Was not actually a tune from that period. A lot of people figured that that must have been a melody from the Civil War. It was actually an original composition written for Ken Burns' documentary, but it evokes that feeling from the 1800s. Please welcome our Claflin Hill Symphony Development Director, Board of Director, my right arm, Bernadette Stockwell, who will read the letter from Sullivan Ballou. You know, in the documentary, it was read in a man's voice, but imagine being Sullivan Ballou's wife, opening this letter a month after. This is Akoshan Farewell, the last words of Sullivan Ballou.
July 14th, 1861, Camp Clark, Washington City. My very dear Sarah, the indications are very strong that we shall move in a few days, perhaps tomorrow. Lest I should not be able to write again, I feel impelled to write a few lines that may fall under your eye when I shall be no more. I have no misgivings about or lack of confidence in the cause in which I am engaged, and my courage does not halt or falter. I know how strongly American civilization now leans on the triumph of the government, and how great a debt we owe to those who went before us through the blood and sufferings of the Revolution. And I am willing, perfectly willing, to lay down all my joys in this life to help maintain this government and to pay that debt. Sarah, my love for you is deathless. It seems to bind me with mighty cables that nothing but omnipotence could break. And yet my love of country comes over me like a strong wind and bears me unresistibly on with all these chains to the battlefield. The memories of the blissful moments I have spent with you come creeping over, and I feel most gratified to God and to you that I have enjoyed them so long, and hard it is for me to give them up and burn to ashes the hopes of future years, when, God willing, we might still have lived and loved together and seen our sons grow up to honorable manhood around us. I have, I know, but few and small claims upon divine providence. But something whispers to me, perhaps it is the wafted prayer of my little Edgar, that I shall return to my loved ones unharmed. If I do not, my dear Sarah, never forget how much I love you. And when my last breath escapes me on the battlefield, it will whisper your name. Forgive my many faults and the many pains I have caused you. How thoughtless and foolish I have oftentimes been. How gladly would I wash out with my tears every little spot upon your happiness. But oh, Sarah, if the dead can come back to this earth and flit unseen around those they loved, I shall always be near you in the gladdest days and in the darkest nights, always, always. And if there be a soft breeze upon your cheek, it shall be my breath. As the cool air fans your throbbing temple, it shall be my spirit passing by. Sarah, do not mourn me dead. Think I am gone, and wait for thee, for we shall meet again. Sullivan Ballou was killed 15 days later at the First Battle of Bull Run.